Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sergeant K's Corner. Today I'm doing something a little bit different in that I'm talking about the religious freedom of the United States, in that there is no declaration of separation between church and state in the Constitution of the United States. It's not there, okay? And we need to understand that, because you hear all the time people talking about, well, it's my constitutional right, it's my constitutional right. Well, you do have a First Amendment right to worship as you see fit. Now, why? Well, because back in the day, the monarchy of England was considered the head of the church. Not so much Jesus, but the monarchy was considered the head of the church. And so what would happen is every time a particular king, or in some cases queen, decided that the church should do something different, the church had to follow along with that rather than following along with the Bible or people's freedoms or anything like that. And so when the framers of the Constitution put the Constitution together, if you notice, in the First Amendment, the very First Amendment of the Constitution, it gives people the right to worship as they see fit. Now, being fair, it also means that if you don't want to worship, you don't have to. Okay? Rather than being the Church of England and the Church of England and the king telling everybody how to worship, people can worship as they see fit. So what does that mean? That means that Christians have the right to worship, and we have the right to worship publicly. Whether that's a kid praying in school, or a group of kids praying in school, or meeting at the flagpole and praying, you have that right. Okay? You also have the right not to. The problem is that the right not to never wants to respect the right to. What do I mean by that? That means the people who don't want to have anything to do with God, and that's their choice, I disagree with it wholeheartedly, but it is their choice, never want to give the same freedom that they want to enjoy to the people who do believe in God, who are born-again believers, who are even Muslims. It protects the rights of Muslims. And they should have the right, constitutionally, the same as Christians, the same as people who don't believe in God, atheists or agnostics or whatever. But it does not state that there is a separation of church and God, church and state. What that does do is it sets it up so that you can do what your conscience tells you to do. The separation of church and state was clearly stated in a letter from Thomas Jefferson to a Baptist church that wrote him a letter. Okay? And I'm going to read you some of his reply. Believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between a man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, that the legitimate powers of government reach actions only and not opinions, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that the act of the whole American people which declare that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion. What he's talking about here is that the government can't establish a religion like the government of England did. You have to keep in mind where the framers and the founders of this great nation, both men and women, were coming from. They were coming from a governmental system where there was a monarch who was robbing them, who was taking away their rights, who was busting in their door for absolutely no reason on general warrants. That's the whole reason for the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which means they have to get a warrant and they have to have some kind of proof of something to get the warrant to enter your home. And it is the reason why he's talking about being able to worship and that it's between them and their God. The government should not be establishing a religion. It doesn't mean that the government is religion free or religionless or does not recognize Christianity or any other religion. And it doesn't mean that something like putting up the 10 Commandments in a courthouse, which, by the way, many of our laws are based on, is forcing a religion on anybody. Okay, if you want to go over and you want to look at them, great. If you don't want to go over and look at them, great. It's no different than going to a museum. If you want to go look at the bust of Beethoven, great. If you don't want to go look at the bust of Beethoven, great. If you want to go see a particular artist exhibit at a museum, great. If you don't want to go, you don't go. Okay? It's that simple. And notice this. This is the last paragraph of the letter. I reciprocate your kind prayers for the protection and blessing of the common Father and Creator of man, and tender you for yourselves and your religious association assurances of my high respect and esteem. At no point in time is he ever denying God. At no point in time is he ever saying that he is not a person of faith. The framers and the founders of the Constitution of the United States and of this country, in fact, were. One of the reasons that the United States came about was for freedom of religion, because they didn't have it back in England. It also came so that they could get out from under the thumb of the king, who was collecting taxes like crazy on them. And, so there's that. And then you have here the Declaration of Independence. In paragraph number 2, and I'm holding the Declaration in my hand, in paragraph number 2 it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that does include women, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Among these are life, Declaration of Independence. According to this, you were endowed by your Creator with certain unalienable rights. One of them is life. Imagine that. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I push a hot button there? Liberty, the freedom to do things that need to be done, to live freely, to be able to think for yourself. And the pursuit of happiness. Whoa, the pursuit of happiness. Imagine that. Watching your favorite football team win on a Sunday. That's the pursuit of happiness, of course. After church. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. In other words, the government gets its authority from the people. Nowadays, we keep trying to put laws in place that the people derive their rights from the government. No, we get our rights from our God. Unalienable rights, it says. And our government gets its power from us. I'm reading it to you. Don't believe me. I'm reading it to you. Don't believe me? Pull the stuff up. Go to the library. Look it up. Go Google it. It's out there. It's all out there. I'm not creating something new. I'm not doing something new. I'm just bringing this forward. The people that founded this country were Christians. Okay? Denying Christianity is to deny where we came from. You know, we have a lot of things in the past of this country that are not wonderful. But, that being said, people are still coming to America for opportunity. People are still coming to America so that they can get a taste of what it is to be free. And if you've ever been to developing countries, third world countries or whatever, you would know they don't have what we have. They don't have freedoms. They don't have the right to do anything. They don't have the right to self-determination. Some of them don't even get education. And speaking of education, as long as I'm on this, I am sick and tired of hearing about what the school districts want to teach. Okay? Schools should not be alienating the rights of the parents. Not at all. When you have a child, you are responsible for that child. Okay? Schools stick with reading, writing, arithmetic, science, and physical education. If there's an issue with some kind of gender thing like furries or whatever is going on, that's something the families need to handle. That is not something that the school districts need to tell the families how to handle. Your business is education. Your business is not to raise our children. Ooh. There's that liberty part right there in the Declaration of Independence. If a school is considered to be a government entity and cannot allow kids to say the word Christmas or show the nativity in front of a school, then liberty allows us to do what we need to do, and the school is not smarter than the parents. Okay? Maybe if you worried more about kids bullying other kids to the point where kids are committing suicide, things might get a little bit better. But nowadays, you're going to worry about whose gender is what and what gender is this and what gender is that. Look, there are two genders. There is male and female. And that's it. Worry about reading, writing, arithmetic, science, and physical education. Those are the things that the schools need to be worried about. Get that into the kids, and anything that's private, refer over to the family, let them deal with it. Until next time, God bless you. We'll see you soon, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye now.